My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
Happy Friday, friends. Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. On today's docket, Visions of Mana comes out today, as of this release, but not as of this recording. So we just played the demo.
For once, we are discussing games of tomorrow. Usually it's games of yesterday and perhaps today.
Well, actually, yesterday more than
it was
tomorrow.
yesterday.
Perhaps. Yeah.
But yesterday was more fun.
What if I played it yesterday?
So does that mean that we're going back to the future, or what? I can't tell.
It'll never work.
It's your kids, Marty.
You can't go back to the future. That's all.
It's not a dock of the assholes.
The newest Visions game is made by the people that did Hole Dweller. It's
What's
a
that?
huge
A dock
God, Marty!
not
They're
Hole
putting
Dweller.
our visions in Hole Dweller! This is unprecedented!
Please don't bring up Hole Dweller
You saying
again.
there's something wrong with my kids' holes, Doc?
That clock tower's been busted for 30 years.
The one stinky future. All right, but before we get into that, there was actually some interesting
Video game news.
Okay, so two things. One thing, an announcement for a TV show that I was going to do is my What Else You Got, but this is so cool that I just want to talk about it right up top. The people that produced Love, Death, and Robots are making a new show called Secret Level, and it's an anthology series that's just a bunch of different video games, computer animated shorts. Like, when I saw the trailer, which I will put up on this video, man, you know what it reminded me of, Buck? Cinematech. You remember Cinematech on G4?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Really?
Just like the idea of these like watching just video game like cutscenes, but in this instance, they're going to be awesome little video game movies. I have a list here of the games that are going to be included because it's incredible. Armored Core. Concord, which is that new, I think, like Overwatch hero shooter by like Amazon Games or something. I don't know. Crossfire, which is that Crossfire X is that PlayStation first-person shooter.
You get caught up in the
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Sorry.
Dungeons and Dragons, just straight up Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Exodus, which is that first-person shooter, I think, that takes place in like the post-apocalyptic city or whatever. Honor of Kings, don't know what that is. Mega Man, Pac-Man. A series of PlayStation, like a collection of, I saw God of War in there. I saw Uncharted. Shifu, which is that third-person brawler, like roguelike type game. Spelunky, which looks adorable. The Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, and Warhammer 40K.
Yo.
So
what?
we've seen this before, but not in video game version, because this immediately made me think of MTV's Liquid Television.
Ooh, that's another good comparison.
And that show contained, among other things, Aeon Flux and Beavis and Butthead, which both got full shows.
I
So
forgot
in other
about
words-
that. I forgot that's where those came from. Wow.
So in other words, I have to watch the Warhammer 40,000 episode like 200 times so that Netflix knows we want that, and that
Yes.
these are all pilots, right?
Right.
This is a giant test market for what do we like.
Right, like if any one of these is popular, then you end up getting an entire series. That'd be pretty badass.
Dude.
At least like one 10 episode miniseries, like
That'd
an
be great.
Armored Core. A D&D one would be so great. Oh my God. And Love, Death, and Robots. Has everyone seen that show? Or at
Absolutely.
least a couple
Yeah.
episodes of it, because that is a miraculously good show.
Love, Death, and Robots has one of my favorite like anthology series like episodes ever, which is that one with like the dead body washed up on the beach, like the giant dead body. Have you ever seen that
Oh
one? It's
yes,
fucking
and all
awesome.
the people walking all over it.
Yeah, it's
The-
just rotting away and stuff. Yeah, good.
The
stuff.
Unreal Tournament one. That's gonna be such a fun world to dip into, because I've never known any other instance of an Unreal Tournament media besides the games. You know what I mean?
And like what's the cohesion of the Unreal Tournament world anyway? Like what would it be like? It's really
I don't remember. It's
that'll be
funny
cool.
because
Wide open.
I played
Well,
the
you've got
first
all these-
Unreal game before it was tournament, before it was all
Yeah.
FPS versus, right? And they did do some cool world building, but I don't remember any of it because it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see the stills for Mega Man, Mega
Yeah.
Buck?
I did. Oh,
Man, you talk about fighting robot.
I don't know.
He
I'm not
looks
gonna
like a
get. I'm
fighting
not gonna
robot.
get my mega hopes up.
Yeah. Oh no. It looks. I am, and I hope it whoops
I hope.
ass. Yeah. He looks cool. He's got like Cyborg 009. Like what's the name of that? Oh, that's the guy that made Astro Boy.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
He kind of like has like swooping hair, like one of his characters, which would be a great
that Tezuka?
homage.
Yeah.
Yes, Tezuka. Thank
Yeah.
you. So and the just the Warhammer 40K one looks like that Astorius. Remember that mini series on YouTube, Buck? That was about like the Space Marines like going on that ship that had been raided by Tyranids or whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
I was like, man, I wonder if any of the animation team from that is working on this.
I'll
now,
take
'cause
one,
it looks-
please.
Yeah, it's.
Dude, I hadn't even
Looks
heard
tight
of
as
this.
hell.
Like, I didn't even know that. Like when you mentioned it, I didn't realize that this was actual like video game IPs that are
Right.
getting basically animated shorts. That's
Tim
fucking
Miller,
cool,
the guy
dude.
that did Deadpool, is like producing this series.
Gnarly.
And he was on stage with at Gamescom a couple days ago announcing this, and the dude, like, he started tearing up. He's like, you don't understand how much I've wanted to do something like this with the games we all love like so much. You had to
Right.
stop like 10 times.
Heck
The
yeah.
closest thing that we had was Ready Player One, and nobody liked it. So now we're gonna do
Aw,
this.
the book was good.
No, I liked the movie actually, but I just like for some reason people poo poo on it. Anyhow,
I've never seen it.
moving on real quick to our next story, the last story as well. Black Myth Wukong came out this week as of this recording. The game where you play as the Monkey King from what's that book called? The Journey West
Journey
or
of the
whatever.
West. And
That
it's
old-ass book.
breaking records.
And it is breaking a couple records. So it just broke Steam's concurrent single player record within hours of its launch, beating out
way.
Cyberpunk 2077. And it's now the game with the second most all-time concurrent players to date, including multiplayer, moving past Power World.
Sorry, Pal World.
Yeah.
Dark Power. They've all
Alright.
forgotten about you.
Isn't that
Yeah, they
incredible?
What's the number one? What's the number one concurrent players for a single
I
player
didn't
game?
look it up.
Isn't it Counter Strike or
man.
League of
I was about to
Legends?
say I would presume it's
Probably
Counter-Strike if it's Steam.
League of Legends isn't on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
The-
So
It hasn't it sold like 10 million copies as
Already,
of this
yeah.
recording.
that is
That's
absolutely
After like
incredible.
3 days of being
That's
out, it's
ridiculous.
sold 10 million copies worldwide. That's
It wasn't even
really
on my
nuts.
radar.
It's really
It-
nuts. Yeah.
So it is
That's
actually
worldwide,
Counter Strike
though. It's
Global
worldwide.
Offensive. That's wild. Okay.
You know what's
It is.
interesting
Yes. Okay.
about the worldwide aspect of that is that I was reading an article by Engadget.com, which reminded me this is noted as one of China's first AAA video games.
Huh,
budget-wise.
interesting.
So worldwide sales, one of the most populated countries in the planet. Coincidence? You know what I mean? Like, who knows?
I
But
wonder how wildly I wonder how popular it is in China.
based
Yeah,
off of
yeah.
one of their most famous folk
Mm.
tales of all time, and it's
Right.
you know what I mean. It's so that could have something to do with it. But yeah, if you haven't seen any commercials or trailers for this game, it almost looks like Sekiro and what's the Pinocchio one?
Liza
P.
All
had
like
a baby
the,
or something like this.
Which I also heard was really good.
I did hear that was good as well. I just love that you play as Pinocchio. But
This is really
anyhow,
gnarly. This looks really good.
Steampunk
honestly.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm interested in playing it.
No,
I am.
really.
Is anybody
I am.
else? Are you?
I am. Yeah,
That's his
100%.
style, yeah.
I absolutely want to get it. Yeah.
If it comes down in price, I definitely do. Like I just I'm always wary of spending $60 on a game. If I'm not entirely sure about it, but like it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews and looks pretty fucking cool, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might check
There's
it
no
out.
question. I want to get a physical of that. I want to get
Yeah?
a physical of Visions of Mana.
Nice.
And then the only other game purchase I have this year is Metaphor ReFantasio in October. That's the rest of my
that's
year.
right.
God, that
And
game.
I pre-ordered the collector's edition because the Atlas collector's edition is like $100 less than the Square Enix collector's edition, and you get much more. So like it was Visions of Mana for like $250 or Metaphor for $150, and I feel like Metaphor was just a much better package to begin with. So yeah, stuck with that hard. Buck and I were talking about it earlier today. All the knickknacks you get these days.
And the
Those
patty
collector's
wags.
editions. Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong. Vinny will let us know how it is. How about that? But in the meantime,
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't want to play video games with all these fancy graphics with this cutting-edge gameplay.
Too many
I'd
buttons.
rather go back in time. Buck, can you and RetroGameTreasure.com assist us with that, please?
Let's go back in time.
That helps me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
Yeah, I kinda
on the
wanna hear that
backs
out.
on the backs of my phenomenal singing. I should have done it like this instead. Wow! Back in time. Music is the weapon. Revolution X.
Whoa,
brother. Heck yeah.
That's my best Steven Tyler.
I almost forgot that one was on home console. I only played it in the stand-up arcade
I
gunner.
did
Oh,
not
dude,
know
I
this
played
was
this
on the-
on the Genesis.
Oh, really?
So good.
It came out on
Yeah.
the Genesis and the SNES.
Yeah.
It's 4 grown men just like, laughing over each other over the Aerosmith first-person shooter. We can't help ourselves.
Yo, it's a banger, all right?
It's because it's such
Beautiful.
a funny, hilarious idea. Buck, please explain what this game is for anyone who is younger than 35.
Right. Revolution X was originally an arcade machine. It was a rail shooter, which is where you don't control where you go, like a Lethal Enforcers, or like there's games like that today now.
Yeah.
Alien Extermination, if you've been to an arcade
Yeah.
in the last decade or so. And you had like Uzis in the versions of this, but the thing is starring Aerosmith. And music is the weapon. So you fired like CDs
You're firing
as like
records,
specials
yeah.
and whatnot too.
Like a Cenobite.
Yeah, like the Cenobite from the second or third Hellraiser movie, whatever it was. You had to Aerosmith's in it. They get abducted by what the hell's a non-force? They get abducted by like terrorists or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you have to
almost
save
like-
Aerosmith.
I was about to say, it's almost like Aerosmith's in it, period.
Yeah.
They did
There's
the same thing with that fucking roller coaster in Disney,
in
where
it.
they were just
That's
like,
it.
rock and roller coaster. What is it? Aerosmith's in it. I don't fucking
gonna buy
know.
it
You
anyway.
just said
Fuck
they
you.
sang that
Aerosmith
song.
theme. That's all you got to know. It's
It's-
Aerosmith themed.
It was made by Acclaim. It was ported to the home consoles, and oddly enough, both of these consoles had light guns, both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And I
Nice.
don't believe this version supports either
Are
of
you
their light
serious?
guns. I think you just
Bummer.
use a cursor. We were all used to that
Yeah, that's
back
true.
then, so it wasn't a big deal to
Yeah,
us.
I-
But
Played this with a controller, but like a light gun would have been fantastic.
It would have, but you
Yeah,
can't.
that would have been
Um,
fun. When did you play this game, Raph?
I played this at my neighbor's house a lot, actually. He had it, and
Sorry.
yeah, like
Hey, man, you want to come over and play the Aerosmith?
yeah. No, it
rail
was
shooter?
really like I came over, and I'm pretty sure he
Video
rented, I don't
games
know if
will
he
never
rented it or
get
what,
better
but-
than this. They'll
Yeah.
I
never
see
get
no
better.
problem here.
Yeah.
it's more like that scene in Wedding Singer. Hey, do you like Aerosmith?
Yeah.
No, but I can tell that you do because you own a copy of Revolution
Flight of
X.
Seagulls.
Yeah,
Like a
right,
flock
yeah.
of seagulls, yeah. So it was just a rail shooter in disguise where they got Aerosmith licensed in it. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of Aerosmith music in it. It sounds much better in the arcade than it does in the home versions, actually.
Yeah.
But this was a good example, though, where like minus having the gun, it was still a pretty good port on both the consoles. So
No, it's they're not like sprites of Aerosmith, right? It's like
oh
photos.
yeah, no,
like
it's
pre-rendered.
it's
Is
like in the arcade it was a little better. It was like Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat style, like
Right.
they
Digitized
videotape.
them.
Yes, and in this they kind of tried, but it ended up being more like pixel art than like this is the band in the
Interesting.
corner. If you can kind of blurry see them when
Extremely
YouTube
Yeah,
low
kids.
little.
resolution.
This
yeah.
is that. Yeah, it was. I mean, not that's not what we're playing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
this is. I could see this. You know, if you're a completionist and you own a Sega Genesis, why not have the amazing talking piece of the Aerosmith shooting game that no one maybe has ever seen, and then you can say, "What? Look at this hilarious object." Isn't this fun?
This is such a 90s game. I just watched a
Right.
handful of episodes of that Dark Side of the 90s show talking about all this.
Mhm.
And it's literally like rebel, reject, revolt. Like that's such a 90s like
Yeah.
damn the establishment.
Yeah.
Damn the man, save the empire, you know.
Darn
Fuck
the
establishment.
establishment.
That's
What
So
preferences you gotta set to get the Aerosmith rail shooter? What's it called again? I'm sorry.
Revolution
One more time with
X.
the name.
It's settings. You have to select 70s, 80s rock bands, and no.
Yeah.
Nah.
Do you have an extreme setting, like with an X? It's just X.
It's
Yeah.
it's the band
Yeah.
Extreme,
Two X's,
and
yeah.
you just play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanna play?
Even though it's a shooter, it's probably more of in the arcade category.
Makes sense.
Right.
Because it's not really like an FPS shooter, really.
Right. It's an arcade port, I suppose.
Right, and that's part of fun on that there too. I don't even think we have this underneath sci-fi or anything else because it doesn't really meet any of those other category. We do have a subcategory for music games, but that's referring to like Dance Dance and Rock Band and
This
stuff like
doesn't
that.
even
It's
count
not-
as a music
Yeah,
game?
it doesn't. It's not a music game. It just has music in
no.
it from a specific band, right?
Yeah.
Thematically, it's musical. Right?
Revolution X.
So funny. Revolution
Fucking
X,
cool,
the
man.
Aerosmith shooter for the Genesis.
I'm
Let's
so
go.
glad that you brought that
That's my
game
Steve
up,
Top.
Buck. I'm so glad you
That's
brought
really
that
funny.
up.
I hadn't thought about that in
Unlocked a memory.
100,000 years.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll come back to now or the future. What did we say earlier? With Visions of Mana. We'll be right back.
These guys are maggots. They're putting chemicals in all our food.
We're back. We're back to whatever time it is with the Visions of Mana demo. As I stated earlier, the game is being released as of the date of this recording being released, but we just played the demo. Rundown of what it is. Visions of Mana is an open world action RPG. It reminded me a lot of games that I haven't played, like Xenoblade Chronicles and Genshin Impact. I've played like an hour or two of Genshin Impact, and I've seen people play Xenoblade Chronicles. Not exactly my type of game. Raph, you were mentioning earlier, it kind of reminded you of the Final Fantasy VII
Combat, yeah.
What's the second one called?
Remake and Rebirth, yeah.
Remake
both
and
of them.
Rebirth. There we go.
Yeah, I haven't played Rebirth, but it does remind me of Remake as far as the combat, which in turn, like I said yesterday, reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 3, like the combat for Kingdom Hearts. Or
That's the vibe. I couldn't put my finger on the vibe I was getting out of the combat because I'm gonna be honest. I'm on the fence about whether or not I like that combat style, but.
Mm-hmm.
I like the traversal in this game. I actually really like moving around the world, but the combat itself, I'm on the fence about too. I mean, I got to play Secret of Mana too. Not to go too far ahead, but I actually, just a little spoiler. I thought the combat in that game was better, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It certainly is simpler. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I see the Kingdom Hearts comparison. But did anybody else feel like there's a lot of UI in this game?
That's a Mana thing. I mean, I've always felt Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore. I've always felt like they all have a crap ton of those rings. They use the same rings that they've used in like the entire series, right?
Really?
With the spells and absolutely. Yeah,
you got the two different types of rings, and then you've got your information as far as your health and your MP, and then you've got the enemy's information, and then if you want to know what an enemy is being like weak against, you have to watch your damage numbers roll up and then pay attention to what color they are. So, it's unbelievably complicated, what I was saying. In regards to like, it reminded me a little bit of Elden Ring in regards to I've got this really big field. I've got a big mount that I get to traverse the field with.
Thank God.
In this instance, it's a really cute giant dog called a Pikul, which I thought was really cute. It's Pikul. I played with the Japanese voice on,
Pikul.
so I didn't hear
I
them
should've done
pronounce
that.
it in English. So I just said, "Oh, it's a dog called a pickle. That's adorable."
I did both, and I gotta say that the Japanese voice acting is way better.
Japanese voice acting always sounds better because you don't know when the pronunciation is elongated or cut off or
Exactly.
But like I was playing some other game which I want to talk about as part of this for today, but the character's line was, "Oh no, hardly. That's how it was written. But the voice actor went, "Oh no, hardly." Like you didn't read the inclination
You
of
giving
the
him a
tone.
line read, director?
Right.
Never give an actor a line read.
That's bullshit. That's okay to do, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
That's complete bullshit. You can line read if you need it.
How dare you?
In that case,
Oh, I
they
dare.
needed it.
I did like that. Does kind of segue into the actual characters that you play as. I like the designs of the characters.
The designs of the mana characters are historically some of the most robust and just visually cool character designs.
Yeah.
For example, and not to go too far back into the voice acting and stuff, but for example, you remember the Sprite Child from Secret of Mana 1, the little short one with the billowing red hair and the green outfit.
Yeah, with the
There's
spear, yeah.
there's a character named Karina who you can play as in the demo. By the way, you can swap between the characters as much as you want, just like in the
love
originals.
that. Yeah.
I played with the English voice acting. And Karina is a little country girl.
She got a little
And
Texas accent.
that
Yeah,
plant thing back there dropped something for us. Better go get it. And I'm sorry. I was
I didn't
sold.
steal
Did you
your
like that?
key,
Yeah.
mister.
I was sold.
It
I thought
wasn't my
was
cup of
great.
tea, but it was
cute.
cute. I don't know. Yeah,
She was
exactly.
a good
it
voice
was cute.
actor.
Yeah,
She was a good voice actress. I mean, her lines were delivered well.
Yes.
I didn't
absolutely,
steal
yeah.
your key, mister.
Yeah, I ain't no thief.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to play both of them. I was like, I want to hear what both of these sound like. But yeah, I love the cute little like southern accent. I was trying to figure out what these accents that some of these characters had, like the cat
Oh yeah,
guy.
because the cat guy is
the cat
so
guy's like
off.
It's all over the place.
I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
might be British, but I'm not British.
Yeah. I might
The
be
character
Spaniard,
they're
too.
referring to is named Morley, I believe, and
Sounds about
right.
I liked his design. I know his face is a little othing with the
Yeah.
weird
Yeah, he
thing,
looks
but
cool.
But the three
He
daggers,
looks
the
cool.
dagger, the
He's
tail
the
dagger.
blade. He's the fast blade user. Like
yes.
to compare it
Daggers
to like
and stuff. Yeah.
to compare it to like dot hack. The double blade user.
But he
I
uses
love
three
the-
because his tail had a dagger also.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tail
I
has
didn't
a
even
dagger
notice
in it.
that. I
Yeah.
didn't even notice that.
That's what I like about his design.
It's
It was
cool.
very Zorro from.
I
One
like that
Piece.
there's cat people in like the Mana universe because I was playing Secret of Mana and I ended up finding a shop that was run by a cat person. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a cat person in the demo. That's
Did
cool.
you guys talk to the
Oh,
dude, the
Well,
Duda?
Nico,
Nico,
the
yeah,
original,
Nico,
the
yeah.
original shopkeeper with the big sack.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you guys talk to the little Duda, the little mouse person that sells you items for
Yeah.
the?
Yes. Yes.
Did you look at their vocabulary?
Yeah,
Yes, I think I caught a clip of it where he's like,
This character speaks in all like Duba and Boobas, like that's their whole
Right.
their whole language.
But you can like.
Like
It reminded me of
Cinderella.
Final Fantasy X. What was the name of the language that you translate over time? That
Albed.
Say it again.
Albed.
Albed. It reminded me of getting all the Albed shit in Final Fantasy X, like unlocking
Oh.
a secret language over time.
It was cute because then you could look at it and read. Oh, he just said, "Welcome to my shop." Like you could read what
Precisely.
Duba Dubug.
yeah,
That's cool and very Japanese.
yeah.
But about the character Morley, he also, I don't know if you guys ever took off your you have these things called spirit vessels in this game.
Yes.
Did you guys fuck with yours? Of course. I hope
A
Buck,
little
did you
bit,
fuck with
a
your
little
spirit
bit.
vessels?
I didn't actually. I didn't.
Not a whole lot. No.
So
Only like once.
in your menu, you have basically like skill trees, but the skill trees are these spirit vessels. So you attach them to the different characters to have them like be different classes. Like if you give Morley, he's the Alm of the Moon, which this game the storyline kind of reminded me of fucking. What's the game like Chrono Trigger that we played earlier this year?
Oh,
Sea of Stars.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The plot is of this game is about a guy named Val who is bringing two alms on through a pilgrimage to the Tree of Mana. Is also very Final Fantasy X.
It's
So-
actually very Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
There's
Interesting.
a lot of parallels, and what's interesting is equipping the different vessels. If you play Final Fantasy 16, you remember that you had 3 slots to equip the different guardians, the different summons. I forget what they're called, the icons.
Right.
In Mana, it kind of it's very similar because it's all elemental based, right? And you don't get that
Right.
all in the demo, but you like are gonna be equipping the different vessels, different spirits and whatnot, and that will dictate what ability kits you have.
Right, exactly. Morley is the Alm of the Moon, so he starts with a particular spirit on him. But there's another character, this female named Palomina, who you can play as. Or no, I'm sorry, the dragon character. What'd you say her name was earlier? Karina. She also can equip these. Like she can take off Morley's like like spirit that he's got and equip it, his spirit vessel. And he'll revert back to his like base class in which he uses a katana instead of 3 daggers.
That's cool. See, now I was just talking to Benny about this beforehand, that I must have missed that part in the menus, and so I didn't get to do that part, and I missed them. Like, I wished it had given me more of the experience with the multi-classes. I saw the other swords for Val, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay, cool. Other classes. That's neat. Let me experiment with them. And then I didn't find very easily where you experiment with them.
I think that's a really good point, actually, to bring up the menus in this game, because there is so fucking many of them.
That's
like,
what I was
probably
saying
why I
earlier
missed
about.
it then.
That's what I was saying earlier about. There's a lot of UI. There's like a lot of information that's just like, holy shit. There's like classes and this and that and the skill trees and the abilities and the seeds and the.
That's a modern game thing, though, these days. Like, it's everywhere. It's very prevalent. Like, if you look at original Secret of Mana, you get those wheels. That's it. You had the rotating wheels, and that was the extent of your menus in Secret of Mana. Exactly, Buck.
Yeah, Secret of Mana felt really good to play because it just kind of let you play it, whereas this gave you a lot of tutorials very early on, which I've noticed in a lot of other Japanese games, especially. Like when I was playing Monster Hunter for a while there, I was like, oh shit, like there's just menu after menu in the beginning, kind of, and like acclimating you to how to, like teaching you how to play the game. Right, exactly. And it's easy to miss things. It's not something I'm entirely used to.
Yeah, in order to get Val to be able to use the spears, you have to give him the moon spirit thing, and then it unlocks a class for him that's called like Heavy Knight. And the coolest thing about the spirit vessels is it gives them a full-blown Sailor Moon style like costume change.
Sailor Moon makeup.
He dons like a cool ass like bronze suit of armor with a huge pauldron on one arm, and then he's got a shield. And this game is all live action combat, and so when you switch to this different form, the form that he starts in the demo uses a Zweinhander, like a giant two-handed sword. But if you switch to this lance and shields form, he becomes like the party tank and plays like the Lancer from Monster Hunter. Like his strong attack becomes just putting his shield up, and you can shimmy from left to right to like block attacks. Like the last boss, you're fighting or the last boss of the demo, you're fighting this big octopus that's attacking you on a ship. And there are moments when he's attacking where it becomes like a straight up bullet hell. Like he's blasts like a bunch of water bubbles at you. So it was really cool to have that character in that shield form, because I would have him stand in the main section of the level and try to block for my other characters while they pulled a Donald Duck from Kingdom Hearts and just got killed. And it was just like, stop it. What are you?
You know, what's interesting is the indicators and markers and like danger zones in that fight. That's straight out of Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
very much.
There's even some of those bullet hell aspects too in 14.
And the Nier Automata stuff.
The farther along we get, the more creative it gets. But there was a lot of familiarity too, which I think is the charm of the Mana series. Like when you go into a Mana game, you expect to see Rabbites, and you expect to see the big old bees. And we were talking about Legends of Mana earlier, and
I was going to ask you guys about
the
this.
cool
Go
take
ahead.
on the bees is it's not like the big fat fuzzy bee this time. It's actually a girl it's actually like a bee lady, like a bee girl, but it's like all like cute anime style, and yeah, they took some liberties on it, but I like it. I dig it. I'm really excited.
Ghibli
to see
adjacent.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, because I don't have a lot of experience with the Mana series in general. Do you guys like have?
Neither do Americans.
Well, yeah, I figured that they're not. It's so confusing to me. There's so many different like games that end with mana. There's so many games in this series.
And some of them are just secrets, but they have no mana, like Secret of Evermore.
And some of them are called Final Fantasy, but they're actually Mana games for the Game Boy.
What's your experience with this franchise, and how does this game stack up as far as like as the other ones?
That's a great question, Raph.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'll take it if you want.
Yeah.
So our original Secret of Mana, is that traditional action RPG kind of Zelda-like, but with more RPG elements.
Right.
Yeah, the one Buck's holding up right now, if you're watching on YouTube or the enhanced Spotify thing that they do with the video. And at the same time, the progression of the game in part 1 is very open world. It's very much like this one. The second Mana game that we ever got was the other one he was holding up, that one right there, Legend of Mana, which takes a completely different approach. The combat is a little similar, and there's an expanded character roster, but it's almost like building a storybook world, and you unlock and connect these lands together as you like discover all the secrets of each like biome, each zone. It wasn't my cup of tea, to be honest with you, and I remember myself getting stuck and confused quite a lot. And this was back in the PS1 era, and because that's all we had. This was our second mana game, when in reality it was, I think, the fifth or sixth of the series. It was kind of like the Final Fantasy syndrome in Japan. We got 1, 4, and 6.
This one is technically Secret of Mana 2. Seiken Densetsu 2.
Seiken Densetsu 2.
The first one is the game that Mac was talking about, which we got, called Final Fantasy Adventure. That's actually the first Secret of Mana game.
What? Wait, for real? Hold on.
You want to make it worse? That same Final Fantasy Adventure game was released in Europe, and you know what it was called? Mystic Quest.
Which there's a Final Fantasy game.
Also called Mystic
Final
Quest.
Fantasy Mystic
You guys
Quest.
need to cut this out. Cut this out right now.
That was no bueno.
Squaresoft in my office now.
This one I had forgotten because I did not play it except shortly after it came out, because it's not my favorite, but it is amazing. It's beautiful, first of all.
It's gorgeous.
The fighting in it is more like the Star Ocean games, or like if Lunar wasn't turn-based. It's on like a square isometric. You move around, you rapid tap buttons or cast abilities. But this one is stupidly deep. I mean, the things that you do in this one, besides the different areas and the scenarios and in the battle, it's got, the making golems. It's got alchemy systems for weapons, magical instruments. If your friend had this game, so you had like a party in this, right? You only controlled one character at a time. The other characters were NPCs. If your friend had this game, they could save their character on a memory card, let you borrow their memory card, and their character from their game could be an NPC in your party.
No way.
I forgot about that feature, actually. Wow. I'm really glad you brought that up.
And so it's funny, though, when you talk about games nowadays that have way too much stuff because they want to give you all these features.
Right.
They did that every once in a while back then, but it tended to make a really muddy game. This is definitely one of the lesser popular SquareSoft games for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it.
Interesting.
No.
The combat. We kind of mentioned something about that earlier. Beyond it being, that's funny that you guys didn't really, the systems being too dense to not really experiment with the combat. I kind of agreed, but I would, if we do get this game and delve into it, the combat itself felt really good. All the different weapons, like I fucked with all of them. So I switched, and like the character who uses the spear, the half dragon girl, if you equip her with a different one of the different element things, God, I keep forgetting that. The spirit vessels, she uses like a fan, like a giant fan, and she gets the like moves that give her the ability to push back enemies with the fan.
Oh.
And the Morley, one of his spirit vessel versions gives him like bow and arrow skills. He becomes like a ranger type character, so he can shoot bow and arrow from really, really far away. And those things have their own different elemental aspects, so you can give fire spells to other people and things like that using some currency point that you get from leveling that isn't your main thing. And then the ultimate like attacks that you have. So you have like this shared.
Those are cool.
Those whoop ass. So they're, to explain really quickly, it's like a shared what in Final Fantasy 7, what's it called when you do your
limit break?
It's like a shared limit break bar. So it builds up for everybody, and then you have to switch to the person that you want to have use it, and then press L2 or whatever console controller you're using. And then it'll do like a really cool kick-ass like camera angle swooping like cinematic look at one of your characters do a really big crazy attack that changes depending on what spirit vessel you have equipped to you.
Cool.
So, I don't know, really cool. Like we already said, it reminded me of Kingdom Hearts. It also kind of reminded me of Okami. Only in the sense that you'd be walking around this open world, and there'd be like a person there, and you'd hit them, and then the world would become like there would be like a wall, like not a wall, but like on the floor there's a circle, and it's like the ring that you're in. And to run away, instead of a traditional RPG where you select the option to flee, you like press yourself against the circle and attempt to run out of it in order to flee from combat. So interesting take on live action RPG combat.
How did you like the? I personally, what stood out to me in this game is just the traversal. It felt really good to move around the world. I loved collecting those like weird like eggs or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah,
like, I don't
the
know
Crash
what they are,
Bandicoot mango
Yeah,
things.
yeah, like weird
And
fruit.
little globes, little honey
It
globes.
reminded me
For the
of
Dooba
like,
Doobas.
Yeah,
like
for
a
the Dooba Dooba
Metroidvania, like as far as like, oh, like I see this up here. How do I get that?
Yeah,
Oh,
jumping
okay,
puzzles,
I can
platforming
double
puzzles.
jump and then dash, or I can jump, dash, then double jump again, and then get the one that's over there. It was a lot of fun. I loved it.
Did you do any of the side quests, Raph?
A couple. It wasn't, it was
There weren't anything
pretty-
special to
yeah,
write home about,
pretty
but it
standard,
reminded
yeah.
me also kind of, I guess, the new Final Fantasy remakes or Final Fantasy 14, where it's just like you get a quest, and then out in the open world, there's
might
a
run
circle
into-
that you got to
Yeah,
go to,
tells
where
you
in
where
which
it is.
guys will spawn, and you got to get some of them or all of them, whatever it is. And I think I agree that combined with the mango scavenger hunt that you
Yeah.
then trade into a specific merchant for specific items it made traversing the open world. You also find money like littered all about, and you find treasure chests with things like potions in them, and they're not potions. It's like candy and like an acorn and shit.
That's very Mana. That's
Yeah.
very.
Is it?
That's very that series. Yes, very much. So it's all about the nature and whatnot.
There was this cool little touch when you're sprinting anywhere and you're hopping over like an object. Your character does this crazy cool backflip.
It's almost like a front flip with his
Right.
legs.
Yeah.
Do like a scisoring aerial thing.
What's that word when you like when you go over an obstacle like that? They have it in
Parkour, like-
the Matrix?
doing parkour, like you're doing this
No,
crazy
no, no.
cool, like,
Fuck it. I
parkour
can't.
thing, yeah.
It's like,
a-
in every
like
game that is a cover-based shooter, it's to traverse over an object by going over the top of it. I don't
Vaulting?
know.
Right.
Say again?
Vaulting.
Sure.
I mean, that's
Let's pretend I
it
never
is. That's
said
literally
anything.
what it is.
But yeah, you can sort of vault over obstacles out of a sprint so that you don't have to like get clipped and then like jump over them.
Yeah, which is nice. It definitely felt nice
Cool.
traversing the world, which is always cool. I never felt like, oh my god, move faster. Or, oh my gosh, I can't
Right.
make that jump because of jank, not because
Yeah.
of. I did enjoy that. I thought that was a lot. My biggest gripe, I guess, is
Yeah, let's
not-
get into the gripes. I also
Okay,
wanted
yeah.
to
I was
I was
gripe.
gonna say my biggest gripe is not the fault of the game. It's my own fault because I don't like action RPGs as much as I enjoy other types of games, especially turn-based RPGs and the traditional ones.
I agree with you, Buck. I've been playing Octopath Traveler in my spare time, and I've been really liking that. And playing this, I did like it, but it did make me say the same thing, which is just like, I feel the combat is cool. The it's not as detailed as like God Hand or fucking God of War or something, but it's like, if you press and hold X, you get one type of move, but if you press and then press and hold, you get another. If you jump and press and hold, you get a third. So there was enough variation to where I was like, oh, I bet you could play this for a while, get good, and do some cool stuff. But I was like, it doesn't. I often found myself like having moments where I was like panicking, trying to
Yep.
switch between a character who was dying to the character who can heal.
Yep, and it's
And
very
then
unintuitive
trying
to
to remember
use the D-pad to switch characters and
exactly.
rings. And, yeah.
Whereas in a turn-based RPG, I get to take my time and go like, okay, I want to get this perfect. Octopath Traveler is a great example because the
It's
way
all
that
about
game
planning.
works with the
Yeah.
breaking of people's defenses, like
I'm
and
glad
then
you're finally playing that. That's a
you
great
really
game.
get to be like, okay, this guy's gonna double attack, then this guy's gonna quadruple power. Like
I
anyhow,
really want to play that. Yeah.
yeah, it's really
Well,
good.
I was going to compare that to like that, and as well, it reminded me that I hadn't beaten the demo for Star Ocean Second Story remake, that Second Story R remake. So I went back afterwards and I played an hour or so of that till I beat that demo as well, and I found myself comparing, especially both some Square games that had come out not too long ago, right? And that one's obviously a remake of a game, so it's just making the original game look much more beautiful, but it has that same thing, like almost lunar setup on the original of that as well, but it's an action RPG, not a turn-based. And so in that one, if you do a spell that's like a positional spell and the enemy moves, you're SOL. You just missed him with your falling rock or whatever. So it made me appreciate in Visions of Mana that the spells lock on to units when they do things.
They lock onto units. Here's the thing:
I figured-
healing.
I know what you're gonna say, and I figured it out. I figured it out.
I could
Yes.
not figure out how to choose who I wanted to heal. It seemed
So
like it was just healing
You
the
have
person
to
with the
use
lowest.
the D-pad, and on the right-hand side where you have your little like portraits, you
Yes.
can actually select them from there.
Okay, I
Yeah,
was just
up and down
healing
on the D-pad.
whoever, and I was like, damn, I can't figure out
Yeah,
what I'm
you've
doing
gotta
wrong.
Yeah, it gives you the option on the side to select which portrait,
Yeah.
like as to who you're healing.
Okay.
I recorded it, so you'll see it in the recording of my playthrough. Like, I yelled it out. I was like, I figured it out.
Yes.
I had an epiphany.
Yeah,
This
right.
was one of
yeah.
my main gripes was like the just that again just dovetails though again into the like it was a lot of systems to get.
Mhm.
It is a demo, and Venny's right where it's just like, look, a lot of these modern games you got to get in the groove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Elden Ring. If you don't play it for a while, you come back and you'll even forget
Yeah.
that, and that's much
Yeah.
simpler. There's almost no UI in Elden Ring, and I still will get lost. But
Yeah,
this
that's
game,
fair.
I bet if you got into the groove, it'd get simpler. But I'm not surprised that you guys didn't find the spirit vessel thing and figure out how to use your blankety points to up your blah 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 along the path of this and there because I was like, this is so. I just pressed start and went through every menu because I said I'm going to have to talk about this game tomorrow, so let me go through everything there is, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, it was just quite dense. And when you get to the city in this game, you do a big open field thing, you do a snow thing, both really cool. Then you get to a city, and I did not like how frequently I was being torqued into. I'm not going to use the word cutscenes, but it would just be like you would walk 10, like I got to meet Jeffrey.
You wanna go
and
talk
then
to a
you-
merchant.
It ropes you into dialogue. Yeah.
Well, and not even just like you'd be like, I gotta go talk to Jeffrey. Puts a star on Jeffrey, and then you go and you talk to Jeffrey, and then he'll be like, "Can you get me this eggplant?" And then it would pull you out of the cutscene, and then the eggplant would be like 5 feet that way, and you'd pick it up, and then you'd come back to Jeffrey, and then go into another cutscene where he'd be like, "Thank you so much for that eggplant. I can't wait to," and it was just like that happened a lot, and it was like it's like when you're trying to prove this girl's innocence by finding the object that the guy thinks is stolen.
Key, yeah.
I was just like, they said like, I better search town for the key, and I out loud said, "Boo! I don't want to do that. That sounds boring." Like, but that may just be me. But I don't know. I wanted to. I love the open world fighting. I thought the fighting was really cool, albeit confusing. But then when it got to the fetch quests around town, I was like, too much of this. No, thank
Thankfully,
you.
those are the ones you can mostly skip, though, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right,
I didn't do any of them. I just went right to the fight.
okay.
I was like, I don't want to. Nope. No desire.
I like how they kind of mark treasure maps on the map, but only kinda. Like sometimes they were hidden under things or in caves or underneath an awning or something. That was fun.
The traversal of the open world, we didn't even mention the time slow down areas that you can, like the
Yeah.
I don't think I ran into this.
Yeah.
you
So
had to at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You have to jump on these ice blocks, and in order to, they're
Oh
moving so
yes.
fast.
Okay. Yeah.
You
I
can
remember
use that
yeah.
thing in combat too. I don't know if you guys remembered to do so.
yes.
No.
But if you
So-
press the R1 button, you'll throw it down on the ground, and if any enemies fall into it, they slow down.
So I
Yeah.
want to talk about the elemental vessels for a second because that's
Okay.
exactly what Mac is referring to. So you find these elemental vessels throughout the map. I don't know if it's an ongoing thing where they are like out in the field or if you collect it once and that's it. I'm not really
Right.
sure what the final game is going to be like, but it serves two purposes. The powers that you get can be used both and it kind of translates into stuff that you can affect the world with, like he was talking about the time slowing down, so you could jump across these little ice sheets. But then you can also parlay that into using them in combat. So it kind of creates this cool, like, new paths, puzzle element to it. If you do this the right way, you won't take damage, or if you do it the right way, you might find a special item. It kind of, I think it's going to bring some cool, like, exploration to the game, which the original Mana didn't have much of that. Because it was 2D and top-down, essentially, it was kind of what you see is what you get. But with the tech these days and there's a lot more going on in games and world building, I could definitely see how these elemental vessels would open up new paths, new
cool.
places. So I see it being a really, really cool addition. That's a big pro for me in the pros.
Yeah.
and
That is
cons.
for sure. Yeah.
It helps with the open world exploration.
There was so much of that I, like you
It's
said, I just felt like
Air
it was like
dashing and yeah.
right. I just felt like it was like almost like menu UI special move vomit, and then I was just like, I figured out the ring. I'm just gonna use those.
It's crazy that it's both. You know what I mean? It's both a strong suit of it, that it's
Right.
got so many systems, and a drawback because it's got so
Yeah.
many systems.
In a demo, it's a drawback. In a
Right.
60-hour
You're probably
RPG, this is a good thing that there's other options and ways to play the game.
Venny, do you have any gripes with the demo, with
I
the
was gonna
gameplay?
ask, yeah, I'm curious to see if.
You know, as with any action RPG, the combat can get a little repetitive really fast. Like I said before, there were a lot of parallels between this and 16 with building your abilities, building your bars, equipping the elemental, or excuse me, the spirit vessel that you want to use for that character. Um, but aside from the generic gripes that you would have about any action combat kind of game, I really don't have much bad to say about this one. The style, the signature mana style of having these tremendously unique and stylized characters, and everything is just gorgeous from the get-go. And I like that they kept it. I like that they kept it a little cartoony.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Because with what we have today at our disposal with, gaming technology and such, it would have been so easy to bring a realism to a mana game. And I'm so glad they didn't, because it would have lost a lot of its charm.
That's the Mana series.
It's like a lot of the newer Final Fantasy games kind of going for a more real, like 16 went for a more realistic look,
which is fine. They're more gritty.
Right,
They're
that is fine, because that's been an ongoing.
Yeah.
Ever since part 7, in my opinion, with the exception of 9, going back to that chibi kind of style,
they've been so much.
It's great. It's been getting more realistic, more realistic looking characters, environments. Yeah. In fact, Yoshi P said that the story for 16, he said this years ago, was going to be a lot more mature and dark.
That's
Same
why
with
Game of Thrones did.
And he they delivered on that for sure. But to answer your question, I don't have too much bad to say about Visions of Mana. I'm very excited to play it. I don't know. Yeah. I will probably play it first before Wukong, if I had to choose between the two.
Yeah.
Just because, I adore Secret
I would
Manas.
pick this over Wukong, I think.
Mana will be very PlayStation Portal friendly for you.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And I actually use my Steam Deck as a poor man's PlayStation Portal, and I play PS5 using my Steam Deck all the time.
I guess that was probably going to be my next question, is like, what do you guys think you guys are going to play this?
Lenny already said he's definitely going to.
Yeah.
I was down to clown. Let's go.
I'll be honest. I was on the fence until Mac explained the job system, and that is more of what I wanted to hear from the depth of the game. So now I'm pretty excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go get it before I go home today.
It's yes, I was gonna say it comes out as the airing of this podcast. I think that, and so I'm gonna order me a PS5 copy.
Oh right, nice. It's next Thursday. Sorry, it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, right. Well, when this episode comes out, it'll be out by then.
Airs, it will have been out. But yeah, August 29th. August 29th, 2024 is the official release date. Very excited.
Well, Raph, did you have any closing words you wanted to say about Visions of Mana, or?
No, dude. I mean, I really like this game.
Same gripes as us, I'd imagine.
Yeah, mostly the same gripes. I think it was mostly just the huge amount of tutorials in the beginning that really bothered me. I'm just not a big hack and slash sort of like player. And the combat in this felt a little bit on the hack and slashy side. There's a lot of combos and stuff that you can do, but I kind of like I'm more of like an Elden Ring kind of guy. I like the slower, more methodical combat. But this was still a lot of fun. I think I'm on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to play it. I haven't outright decided I'm not going to, but I did have fun with the demo, so I might.
Go finish Sea of Stars first.
Nice.
Yeah, I really do need to finish Sea of Stars. Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff I got to finish.
We are in agreement then. Sounds like we all pretty much think the same. Yeah, here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We dub Visions of Mana a pretty good video game.
We need to steal the Game Pro
rating system,
thumb up meters. Yeah, we need to.
All right, I'll figure that out.
Don't even put numbers on them. We'll just use the faces.
Yeah.
So it's like, what did you guys give it? We gave it
We'll do random objects each week. Like I'll give it 2 pizzas out of 4.
Out of 2.5 pizzas.
Yeah, 2.5. I'm gonna give it 4 pairs of sunglasses out of 5.
Don't eat them all in one sitting. You're gonna tummy ache.
Out of 1,000.
All right. That does it for our conversation on Visions of Mana. Then we'll go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we will do our What Else You Got and get out of here. Gentlemen, it is time. I am here to ask you what else you have got. The segment of our show where we bring anything to the table, be it video game or otherwise. This week, I have something amazing, which is that I have a couple things. First of all, I went and saw Deadpool.
All right.
The
I'm
Deadpool
seeing it
Wolverine.
tonight. I'm so excited.
Oh, good. You're finally
I'm gonna try to catch it
talk
this
to you
weekend.
about it
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Sorry.
Incredible. No spoilers.
Yes,
I would
it's good.
never dream of spoiling it because it's so fucking good. I
Spoilers
think
make
you
it that
guys
much
will,
fun.
because I don't think Raph's seen it yet either,
No,
right?
I'm gonna try to see it
I
tomorrow.
think
maybe.
you and Venny will both love
weekend.
it because I don't know who would not love. You'd have to just be a dumb person, in my opinion, like just not understand art and also understand the context of where superhero movies are at like right now, and also where they were back then when Hugh Jackman was just a boy.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you must stay for the post credits. Buck, did you stay through?
Yes, I did.
Did you also cry at Green Day? Did Green Day also make you cry?
Oh, that was messed up, man. That
dude.
was messed up.
I
That's
won't-
not
I
the
won't-
after credits. You have
yeah,
to stay
no
for the
s-
credits because the credits
Yeah.
themselves are a scene, and it's.
I'm
really
crying
good.
right now thinking I'm literally
was
tearing
need
up
to know.
thinking
I
about
need
it.
to know
It
now.
was
I need to
so
see
touching.
The only thing I have to say, Mac, is till you're 90.
Dude, yeah.
Uh-oh.
and I can quote you on that. Okay. I love it. That's so fucking funny. It's a great movie. Anyhow, I have a second piece of cinema masterpiece that I wanted to show you guys right now. So I was editing last week's episode, and in last week's episode we did Oops All Retro Zones, and one of the games that Buck brought to the table was WWF WrestleMania 2000.
Okay.
And I was going through clips of WWF WrestleMania 2000, and I don't know how much. I don't want to oversell this, but I'm gonna say this.
What's
I'm
he
gonna
gonna
play
say?
this. I'm gonna play this, and this is the intro to WWF WrestleMania
know.
2000.
Oh, I'm aware. Oh, I'm completely
and
aware.
I want you to. I want you to buckle up.
See if I
No
remember.
talking. Just absorb this, please. Because remember we were talking about this game and I'm going like, oh, yeah, I remember like as a kid going like, this game is cool, but I can't remember. And then I watch this and go, okay, yeah, here we go.
Oh, I'm getting in
All
my
right,
truck
let's
now.
do this.
Head. Tough. Suck it. I can
There's more.
look at this. What is this music change?
This is the most N64 music I've ever heard.
Oh, the brood. Oh,
you
God,
remember-
Gangrel.
There's more. There's fucking more.
Oh my god.
Son of a bitch. What is that? What is Jaden bleeding? What is happening?
Sexy.
Great.
The Heartbreak Kid.
The longest
graphic-
intro to any video game I have ever seen in my life.
Could the graphics ever get any better than this? This
No.
is-
No.
They never did.
I screamed after watching this. I was like, that was the best. Yeah, I wonder why I thought that game was cool when I was a kid. Maybe it's because of all of that.
Yeah.
I can literally
That's the first
see
time
me
I
and
laid
Buck-
eyes on that.
Me and Buck popping in the N64 and just watching all of that in its entirety
had
with
to,
our
right?
mouth agape, just like,
When you rented a game or got a new game, the first thing you had to do was watch the whole intro, right?
Watch the
Like you
intro
had to
first.
watch the
Watch-
intro they got for you.
3-minute long intro to
That's gnarly,
WrestleMania 2000.
I feel obligated now to slug a Bud Heavy Steve Austin
Yeah,
style.
right.
And then it goes into like the weird dark jazz with the Undertaker, like pow, chickum, pow, pow, chickum.
It's just
What
the
the
most
fuck is happening? What the fuck?
N64 ass music I've ever heard.
Wow.
It's so
Mac-
Oh my
Nintendo
god,
64.
that
Mac,
is
you're-
my fucking what
you're-
else you got this
Your
week.
what else you got did not disappoint this week.
That
Well
was
done.
I was blown away by
Well done.
how
Holy
fucking
guacamole.
hilarious that is. Let me catch my breath from how fucking hard
Great
I was
job.
laughing.
Sheesh.
Fuck.
Yes.
What else have you got for us this week?
I also have a cinematographic or graphic cinemaphile thing.
Okay.
The boy
Have a stroke.
watched the first Alien movie about 2 weeks ago,
Ooh.
so that
Nice.
we could go see Romulus.
Oh, I wanted to see that this weekend too. Oh.
Because it takes place between 1 and 2 anyway, so
Yeah.
just if you haven't seen the second one with all the Marines in it, it's okay. He's not missing anything because it hadn't happened yet.
Right.
And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I know there's some people griping about the ending, so no spoilers on that. But I thought it was cool because I've seen the other Alien movies.
Yeah.
It won't make as much sense if you haven't seen Prometheus, the one with the
Okay.
engineers, about the guys that actually made the xenomorphs and all their shit. That was a weird one, but a good one.
I
But
heard
did
this
you
was
play-
heavily inspired by. Oh, was that what you were gonna say?
That's what I was just about to say.
yeah. Right. Yeah, I heard it was heavily inspired by Alien Isolation, which is like one of my favorite games ever. Like,
I could
this-
definitely see that, how they
Yeah.
did a little more game version for it. There's a couple of characters in it that are really good, that carry the story pretty well, including Ripley 2.0. The character's name is Rain, the
Mhm.
girl that
Right.
plays like the other, not Ripley, but
Ripley
totally supposed to be-
stand-in for this.
Yeah, I mean,
alien.
she did a good job. She's a great actress, so she did a really good job too. And there's a character that plays a synthetic, and it's not a spoiler like it is in other Alien movies. It's like you're introduced to them at the very beginning, and the character changes throughout the movie, and the actor did a really great job with it. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I think it's scary in the right Alien ways, right? Like
Right.
like there were certainly a handful of jump scares that were freaking Alien. Yes.
Yeah.
Gnarly. I
was
can't
good.
wait.
Yeah, they learn
Some
about
chest
acid
bursting.
blood, and they're like, "No, don't shoot it; it'll eat through the hull," like Alien 1, And it's like,
Hell
"Yeah, don't."
yeah.
I was
do
kind
that.
of
It's a bad
wondering
idea.
how horror movie versus, like you said, alien horror movie, because
It is
how
much
much
more-
sci-fi are we
right.
putting in this bad
It is
boy?
much more. It is much more traditional to the alien sci-fi genre than it is the alien horror genre. I think that's why some people didn't like the ending as much, because the ending kind of flips on its head and has some fucking terrifying moments, but it's still very sci-fi if you've watched a lot of the movies. So
Nice.
I enjoyed it. That was good. And my other one is over here. Can you pan the camera? It's over here.
I can't. Oh wait,
Oh,
maybe
he's
I
gonna
can.
show it. I was really hoping it arrived.
Let me see. Expand. Yeah, I can move. You don't have to move it. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Is that your Final Fantasy chair?
It got
Oh,
here.
yes,
I'm
it's
so
Final
glad.
Fantasy.
Myself.
I'm so happy. Oh, I can't wait to see you
Nice.
put it together.
My Final Fantasy 14 secret lab chair, complete with magnetic job roll
Hell yeah.
man.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. You mentioned that.
I pre-ordered it like 3 months ago. It just
Yeah.
came today.
Put that shit together.
Man.
Raph.
I'll be sitting in it next week.
I can't wait to see it.
Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
A couple of things. So one, I made some headway in some games that I have been stuck in. One, I mentioned last time that I beat Metroid Zero Mission, so I'm continuing my Metroid Odyssey. I didn't go into 2. I started playing it. I wasn't super fond of it because it's a Game Boy game and it's really.
Mhm.
So you played the original, not
Very
the
claustrophobic.
3DS version.
There's a 3DS version I would love
That's
to play, but
That's
I don't
great.
have a 3DS. Yeah, and also there is actually there's an unofficial remake that gets the Metroid Fusion treatment or the Zero Mission
AM2R
treatment.
or whatever it's called.
AM2R, yeah, it's another Metroid remake or Metroid 2 remake. I might check that out, but to do that, I'd have to do some I'd have to torrent it and all that stuff. It's a whole process.
A
But
whole bunch of no-nos.
right, exactly, yeah.
Nintendo's gonna show up at your door with a letter. Mario's gonna punch you in the
Yep,
balls.
They're gonna meet
Nintendo's
up with
gonna send them
FBI
assassins,
agents and team
yeah.
up to kill you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But so I jumped back into Super Metroid, which I have actually not finished, and I've been stuck on.
I know.
Yes,
I had the same reaction. I was like, wait, whoa, because you were talking about that. You didn't finish it, bro. What the fuck?
No,
I was
never
like,
finished it. No, I got
the end of
stuck,
that
and I
game's
was
so
I was
intense.
somewhere. I ended up finally, after playing Zero Mission, I figured out this is how you play a Metroid game. You bomb the shit out of everything, and I found my way through by bombing the shit out of everything.
If
So
you
I
don't
made
have a
headway.
Nintendo Power subscription, that's how you do it.
Right, yeah. I made headway in that. I'm at the point where I'm fighting Crocomire. So I'm dealing with that bullshit. The other thing that I made headway in is that I was stuck in Baldur's Gate for a very long time. And I decided to jump back into my file, and I decided to make the headway that I had to, and I killed everybody at the goddamn Goblin Fortress. I did not bother.
oh man, you were behind.
I was behind. Yes, I was stuck in
yeah.
the beginning because I was trying to do this diplomatically, but that wasn't happening.
Oh no,
so
no,
I
you gotta
fucking
just
killed
kill all
everybody.
those.
Well,
goblins.
so wait,
forget them.
did you side with the tieflings and do that for the sake of the tieflings, or are you going murder hobo and killing everybody?
No, I did that for the sake of like the tieflings and the Emerald Grove and all
Okay.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just I my save file I stopped when I got back to Emerald Grove to talk to Halcyon and all that stuff. That's where I'm at right now. That's probably what I'm going to do a little bit later on today. And speaking of Baldur's Gate, we as a house decided to start a Dark Urge playthrough, and that has
Have
been
fun.
a lot of fun.
It has been.
Yeah.
We killed
Eric-
Gale
Yeah, we killed Gale.
immediately.
Yeah,
Ouch.
immediately killed Gale.
Have fun with that.
Yes.
We got a child killed. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my.
Nice.
Yeah.
Venny, what else have you got for us this week? Anything?
Yeah, a couple things. Other than playing a lot of the new Hunt Showdown, which we've been balls deep into that. Buck actually got me a key for this little rhythm game called Bass Defense. Bass as in BASS, like bass and treble.
Bass
So
bass,
it's
not
clever.
bass bass.
Yeah, it's like a rhythm game tower defense kind of deal, but we haven't really figured out how the tower defense aspect of it comes into play. It's more of just a hitting on beat rhythm game where you defend this little fort, and like your defenses are based on which key you push, and it activates that sides in rhythm. It's this funky little rhythm game called Bass Defense.
Kind of plays like Guitaru Man, where there's like the notes are coming at you from a direction and you hit the direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Guitar. All right, exactly. And the other thing, which a few of us jumped into over the weekend and beyond, is this cool Overwatch style MOBA called Deadlock.
You
Imagine,
sent me something, Buck.
I
yeah.
sent you an invite.
We can
Yeah.
invite you guys. We can invite through the
Yeah.
UI. We can just send invites to our Steam friends. So if you want to play Deadlock, we can hook you guys up.
Describe
hit us
it.
up too, yeah.
Imagine Overwatch crossed with a MOBA a la Smite, like over-the-shoulder Smite style
Right.
MOBA.
But the
And I gotta tell you,
mechanics of a MOBA.
this game is very early on. It's made by Valve. It's actually a Valve game, and it's really early on in the process. But goddamn, it was fun as hell.
Cool variations of characters, and it's funny because it's Smite, like it's a MOBA, and you forget that sometimes you're in a lane fighting a guy and your brain's like shooting Overwatch, duel him. Like, no, this is a MOBA. Kill the creeps, get out of the way,
And
heal up, tick him down.
Imagine the aesthetic is like BioShock Infinite, kind of like high-tech
That's a great way to
steampunky.
explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a really cool aesthetic. Like one of the main characters is like a tanky guy, but he's like a robot in an old style like detective trench coat with a fedora, and he's like on the case. You know,
I would love Mac. There's one dude that one of his special abilities is to escape into his own briefcase, and then he can get away before he pops back out of it again.
called Deadlock.
Oh.
Deadlock. Yeah, check it out. Check
it's
it out.
very
If you guys want an
interesting.
invite, we can get you an invite.
It has
I've seen
4
like
lanes.
a picture of like a gargoyle character or
Yep.
something like
Yep.
this.
He's
Yeah.
got like a crossbow. Yep. It's one of the things. It's
Yeah.
very unlike Smite and unlike other MOBAs and even hero shooters. It is very vertical. There's
It's
you have
very
double
vertical.
jumping, you have dashing. There's
Yeah.
areas to go in other spots, and it's you're fighting almost like in a city. So there's lots of like walkways and walls and small buildings in your way. Unlike any other MOBA I've seen, it has 4 lanes, which is really interesting, and it's 6v6.
Oh, so 2 middles. If you
Yeah,
will.
and it's 6v6. So with 4 lanes, you can only have 2 lanes that are covered by 2 people. The other 2 have to be solos. So you find yourself rotating a lot, which is what makes it feel more like a hero shooter.
I'm looking at the list of characters now. They're quite cool.
Yeah, I'm
Bebop.
looking for some
There's
space.
a character named
yeah.
Bebop.
I'm not a huge fan of him, but he's melee. He's pretty good though.
I like
if,
that.
if you're good with him.
Ooh, this
So
guy
it's very
named
interesting. It's
Seven
like getting
looks
to the next thing. There's towers, but the style of it is pretty wild. The little minions, the minions that walk towards you, Mac, are like little walking candles.
Huh.
Cute.
Like it's the weirdest style choice ever. Like
It's interesting coming from Valve.
Yeah, well, they want to get
Right.
into Dota. Okay, fine. They want to get into something that's not, Dota and that marketplace, I guess.
Yeah, I
You
guess
know,
so.
I think one of the aspects of it that I like so much, it was fast. The gameplay is
Yeah.
fast.
Like
It's
Smite.
not like Smite. No, it's not like Smite where a game is going to last you on average 45 minutes unless a team gives
true.
up. It actually progressed pretty fast. So to me, that's a big deal because my gripe about Smite and MOBAs in general is that I feel like you have to invest so much time in every single game, and the feel goods of that are I'd rather just play around Hunt or around Dead by Daylight. It goes by faster. But yeah, really good prospects with this one. I hope Deadlock continues on the path that it's on. I think it's got a lot of momentum. A lot of people are saying good things, and so yeah, we'll see what happens. Good so
Awesome.
far.
Well, I want to play that shit.
Yeah, me
that looks
too.
cool. All right, so hey, listen, that is our show. With that, we shall end. We have completed another episode, gentlemen. Thank you so much, listeners, for listening. Do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe, if you will. And if you're just listening to this, why don't you head on over to our Instagram at the Game Treasure Podcast to see our beautiful faces in small doses. Finally, reach out to us via email with questions that you would want us to answer on air. You can email us at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. Still waiting for those. Feel free to send. You can find links to all that stuff and more at our link tree at linktree/the-GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Spotify and Apple Music and anywhere you can find music on the internet. And of course, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com. Owned and operated by the Megabuck himself, Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that sends collectors customized boxes of retro video games every month. Not a collector yet, you could be. Simply make your profile at www.retrogametreasure.com and you will receive games tailored to fill out your collection. How? Well, your personal preference settings ensure that you always get new games for the consoles that you own. There's a lot of math involved.
Algorithms.
RetroGameTreasure.com. Obsessed with video games since 1985. Buck, would you like to hit me with your new subscribers this week?
Welcome, kids. Jonathan Elam, Jeffrey Cott, Kelda Roy, Stephen Becht, and Percy Butler.
Thank you guys so much for subscribing. It means a lot. My name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
It's so